Some time back I was curious whether or not you could make an ink similar to an iron gall ink, giving you some permanence as an iron gall, but without using oak galls. And of course we know you can. There's a lot of different recipes using other types of things like pomegranate. But I wanted to try something a little less traditional, and I had some old cherry bark in my yard. Yeah, it was quite old, probably a year to year and a half since it had been harvested, and it had gone through one winter, so it probably had lost a lot of its tannins, but it was all I had, so I used it. Basically, the concept would be that you could use anything that has tannins in it that could create tannic acid, and that could be condensed down to a concentration sufficient to have a similar chemical reaction to that of oak galls. So I did that. I boiled down the cherry bark, took a lot of cherry bark and a lot of boiling down, much less efficient than using something like oak galls. Added some copperas to get some iron in there, and essentially ended up with this product here, which is a cherry bark ink. It's brown in color. I don't know that you can see that well on the screen. Maybe you can't hear it got thin, but you can see here it will create a fairly fine hairline, and also lay down a fairly thick line. What I've decided is that I think that this ink performs somewhat similarly to an iron gall ink. It does have the tannic acids as well as some kind of iron in it, in this case in the form of copperas. And so it's going to bond to the fibers of the paper in a way similar to an iron gall, which is what this is here. Now this is a much darker ink, and I think is slightly better behaved. But of course it's an iron gall ink, so it's made to do that. But I guess the question or the theory had been proven out in that you can use anything that has some kind of tannin in it to create tannic acid. Let's bring this water over, and with that you could create an iron gall ink, or maybe we should call it a tannic acid ink, ferric tannic acid ink, something like that. So here's some water. You probably will find some bleeding on the paper. Both of these inks have gum arabic in them. So what that does is it allows some of the ink to dry on the surface of the page, and so what you're seeing here with that kind of ghosting or bleeding is that ink that's on the surface of the page becoming dissolved and back into solution, which allows it to bleed out a little bit. But that ink that actually is absorbed into the fibers is bonding chemically with the fiber, like an iron gall ink here. But there's that cherry bark ink. So interestingly enough, like an iron gall, when I added the copperas to the cherry bark ink, it underwent a color change, but not as dramatic as the iron gall. It retained some of its brown color, as you can see, and I'm sure that I could probably change that by adding more and more iron to some degree anyway. But I found that interesting, and I thought you guys might like to see kind of some of the science behind how iron gall inks work being put into practice using some non-traditional materials in the form of cherry bark. Thank you.